An extremely distressing and horrifying case of hacking which has taken place. A case of digital housekeeping which has turned into a disturbing cyber scandal and an agonizing horror for patients at a maternity care hospital in Gujarat's Rajkot. The hospital's digital housekeeping labs helped hackers gain access to CCTV systems of the hospital. And what followed was nothing short of a nightmare. Hackers accessed intimate footage of the women who were being examined in the maternity ward and sold it to the international market of porn for profit. What makes this breach even more bizarre and horrifying is that this reportedly continued for over a year until the perpetrators were arrested earlier this year in February. Reports have surfaced now suggesting that hackers gained access to at least 50,000 such clips over 9 months from across India. It was not limited to one specific location. This happened across 20 states at least. Investigators found around 80, that's 80 CCTV dashboards compromised nationwide across states, as I mentioned earlier. Delhi, Pune, Mumbai. And these are cities that I'm mentioning. Nashik, Surat, Ahmedabad. The main accused was identified as Parit Dhamilia, a BCom graduate, and second accused was identified as Rohit Sisodia. As I mentioned earlier, this is an extremely horrifying incident which has taken place of hacking. How these hackers got hold of CCTV dashboards across the country is gradually coming to light now as reports have started surfacing on how they were able to access CCTV footage across institutions. It was not just maternity wards. And to discuss this further, I'm now being joined by our principal correspondent, Disha Shah, who's joining me on the broadcast from Mumbai. Disha, we've just barely scratched the surface in the report we've just carried at this point, because it was not just limited to one region in Gujarat. It has actually happened across at least 20 states in India. And these visuals and that footage, that private footage, horrifyingly has been sold internationally. There is a lot more to discuss and which has come to light. I'll now pass it on to you. Tell us how these hackers were actually able to do this.
Well, absolutely. Investigators have pegged this as one of the most difficult and worst digital hacking cases that they have ever seen in their career, because here we are talking about not only an isolated incident that took place in a maternity hospital in Rajkot, which is based in Gujarat, but here we are talking about at every corner of the country. If you can talk about the private residences, schools, malls, everywhere these hackers have gained an access to the footages which are quite private, which are quite intimate, and then they have sold it to the international porn websites for anywhere between 400 rupees to 7,000 rupees. So this is the per clip I'm talking about. And it took almost 6 months for the investigators to really come to a conclusion that how these hackers really went across and did all of this in the span of 1 year. So this started anywhere in January 2024 is what we understand, where the group of hackers, they sat together in a very small place of the city that we are yet to ascertain whether they operated from Delhi or anywhere else. And then they started using combination of letters and numbers to gain access to all the websites or even portals which are quite confidential. And they came across a very, investigators term it as a very common key password, and that was admin 123. And investigators found out that this is the password almost every other, establishment uses. And that is how these hackers got an access to at least 50,000 clips.
Let us try to repatch with you because the audio is not fully clear. We'd like to get those details from you exactly. And while we try to do that, just to give viewers understanding of what exactly has happened, this is not just Rajkot in Gujarat. At least 20 states across the country, there have been a major hacking attempt which has taken place, and footage, intimate footage from maternity wards, institutions like schools, several other places across states, that has been accessed, and that footage has been then put out for sale internationally to porn sites. This kind of an experience for anybody is scarring, to say the least. Horrifying to have intimate images and visuals from a maternity ward or from a hospital to be out there being sold, misused, and being purchased by porn sites. Now, this has been happening, as Disha had pointed out. We'll try to reconnect with her because she has all the details of what we've gathered so far. All right, viewers, we have Disha with us once again. And Disha, I'd like to just reconnect with you once again. Disha, as far as we've understood that this has not just happened once, it has happened over a course of at least 9 months. And what we've understood so far is that at least 20 states were affected by it. Disha, now let me come back to you. Just go over those details once again. The audio wasn't clear the last time we came to you. What more have you learnt about the case?
Well, I'm really sorry for the audio mess for our viewers. But let me just talk again about what exactly happened through these course of events. And this investigators peg it as one of the worst digital hacking cases that they have ever seen in their life. And it took investigators almost 6 months, Shivan, to actually come to a conclusion that how these hackers have actually come out and access these portals and establishments which are quite private. And here we are talking about, all it started in January 2024, where these group of hackers, here we are talking about 3 individuals who are graduate people, okay, and they have from a corner of the city, we don't know yet whether they operated from Gujarat or Delhi, but they sat together and they started using combination of letters and numbers to see that where they can actually get access to. And that is where they came across the page of the maternity ward, the hospital which is based in Gujarat, Rajkot. And through that, then they got several access to the files from malls, schools, and even private residencies of private clips and intimate clips of women who are getting checked either in the gynec department or either getting themselves changed at their private residencies or malls or schools for that matter. And the amount of clips that the investigators found out during the course of this hack was 50,000. And that was really astonishing for them because they used combination of letters and numbers, and the very common password which investigators say was admin123. And then they got access to a lot of footages from the malls, from the schools, from the other any places possible. And it's not only an isolated
case of Gujarat. Important point, Disha. Let us just highlight that once again for the viewers, because that password that you just mentioned, it's usually the default password for most CCTV dashboards. CCTV in your house, CCTV in your office, that could also have that same password. A lot of us, we usually don't change that password when we get these CCTV systems installed. First thing you need to do is change that password, have a unique password which only you would be able to do, because guesswork perhaps is the first method that they used, and they found that this password was widely being used across these institutions along with other methods. What kind of prices have these been sold for? Intimate images of people from their own houses have been sold internationally. Disha, do you have those figures for us as well?
Well, absolutely. So when we spoke to the investigating team, they said that these 50,000 clips per clip, it was sold anywhere between rupees 400 to even going up to 7,000, depending on what was the content in the clip. So that also investigators said that, and that they sold to the international porn market. And they are also investigating whether these hackers are part of a larger network, because if yes, then there is a trouble. Because these are the common default passwords that they use in any offices, and it's not changed like you rightly mentioned. So if there is another gang which is sitting out there, then they might also get access to 1,000 more clips. So how do they stop that?
So for that, they have already started awareness levels.
Yes.
They have already started giving educational tips also to these people that change your password very often, and also have a unique password which even the hackers cannot really
Extremely important.
hack that, because here even the graduate people, these three hackers, Shivan, are graduate people. They come from a very good educational background is what the investigators say.
Understood.
And they are using the software coding, the programs, the bot, everything to just get access into a very default password.
Disha, thanks so much for getting us those details. Of course, extremely distressing to know for anybody who would have been a victim of this kind of a hacking attack. That was Disha Shah, principal correspondent, getting us the details from Mumbai. But as she rightly mentioned, ensure that your password is unique to you and keep changing it time to time. This has been an extremely scarring experience for anybody who would have been a victim of this hacking attack.